and then you add in their friends and their family and the people who are also tangentially involved with this, they're all going to flip parties. So this is, I think, going to backfire on the Biden-Harris regime and benefit Donald Trump, because he's going to be seen as taking the high road and trying to negotiate a deal as opposed to taking sides with the workers versus taking sides with the American people. Because, Carl, the one thing we haven't talked about tonight is that this is going to lead to two things. It's going to lead to an uptick in inflation, and it's going to lead to an uptick in the unemployment rate. And that is bad for Kamala Harris when it comes to the election.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. I'm glad you clarified that, or the process has already begun. You mentioned this earlier too, Jim, and so I was punching myself in the head right after I let go of that last question. But you're talking about for 1 week worth of cargo ships basically stuck at these ports. That's going to back up shipping for an entire month. I mean, that's kind of what we saw during the COVID lockdown era. Is that right?
So it's 1 week for every day.
1 week for every day. Okay.
Yeah. So the estimates are that for every day that they're shut down, it takes a week to catch up. So a 1 week strike is basically 2 months to catch up. A 3 week strike takes us into 2025. So that is how bad this is going to be. Boy, it would be nice to have automation, wouldn't it? Because if we had automation, we could catch up a lot faster. But no, we don't have that. So what are you going to do?
And here's what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about inflation. I'm concerned about price gouging, but probably necessarily so because you're going to have shortages. I mean, what type of consumer products do you suspect might be impacted immediately or the most?
Yeah. So the first shortages you're going to start seeing are with produce. You're going to see imports of fruits and vegetables that come from South America. They're going to start rotting on ships and rotting in the port because no one's there to pick them up and take them to the grocery stores. So if you wanted some bananas, you wanted some cherries, you wanted some peaches, you're not going to have them. Okay, it's a pain in the backside, but no one's going to lose their life over not having fresh cherries. The next thing you're going to see is automotive industry having to shut down plants because they can't get the computer chips that they need. They can't get the parts that they need that come in from Europe and from Asia. Then you're going to see things like pharmaceuticals and consumer goods and industrial goods being impacted. You've got to remember, people like Walmart, LG, Samsung are the largest importers on the East Coast. They are the ones importing the things that you and I buy every single day when we go to the store. Dollar General is another top 10 importer on the East Coast. It impacts working Americans. They won't be able to get the things that they need, which means you're going to have to go to other places to buy them, which means they'll pay higher prices. There'll be less supply, which means that you're going to have more demand for less supply, which leads necessarily to inflation, and we're going to see a repeat of what we saw back in 2022. Will it get to 10% in a short period of time? I don't think so, but you're going to see it start to tick up.
Wow. And keep in mind the Teamsters Union. I mean, this is the play they're making. You're right, Jim. I think this is going to backfire. But I mean, remember the Teamsters Union, they should have went ahead and endorsed Trump. They didn't do it, but nonetheless, their members wanted Trump or endorsed Trump or supported Trump overwhelmingly over Kamala Harris. So very good point that this is a play to try to get blue-collar workers. Don't think it's going to work. I want to play this video clip for you, Jim. This is your friend Harold Daggett. This is a clip. This is a clip that you mentioned earlier. Gabe, let's go ahead and roll that clip, por favor.
Today don't know what a strike is.
Right.
When my men hit the streets, from Maine to Texas, every single port will lock down. You know what's going to happen? I'll tell you. First week, be all over the news every night, boom, boom. Second week, guys who sell cars can't sell cars because the cars ain't coming in off the ships. They get laid off. Third week, malls start closing down. They can't get the goods from China. They can't sell clothes. They can't do this. Everything in the United States comes on a ship. They go out of business. Construction workers get laid off because the materials aren't coming in. The steel's not coming in. The lumber's not coming in. They lose their job. Everybody's hating the longshoremen now because now they realize how important our jobs are. Now I have the president screaming at me, I'm putting a Taft-Hartley on you. Go ahead. Taft-Hartley means I have to go back to work for 90 days. That's a cooling off period. Do you think when I go back for 90 days, those men are going to go to work on that pier? It's going to cost the companies money to pay their salaries. Well, they went from 30 moves an hour maybe to 8. They're going to be like this. Who's going to win here in the long run? You're better off sitting down and let's get a contract and let's move on with this world. In today's world, I'll cripple you. I will cripple you, and you have no idea what that means. Nobody does.
Wow. Okay, so Jim, I'm not sure how much this Mr. T lookalike with you and I were speaking about this. I'm not sure how much money he makes, but 100,000 union workers laid off. I wonder what the difference is in their salaries compared to his.
I don't know, but here's the point: is that he doesn't understand how to negotiate because he's negotiating for today. He's not negotiating for tomorrow. And I've had people like that sit across from me in negotiations before, and I've told them, you may be able to screw me for the next 8 months, but after those 8 months are over, you're dead. You're doomed. Because here's what's going to happen. Companies like MSC, companies like Maersk are going to go and buy some land and build their own ports that they will own, and they'll be fully automated, and they'll start avoiding union ports. And they're going to then start having union workers leave the union and come to those ports to take the jobs that are there in the automated ports. And this guy is going to be looked back on in history as a complete idiot because he didn't understand the big picture. He only understood tomorrow. And he may win today, but he's losing tomorrow.
Jim, I got to tell you, we have less than a minute left. That was such a great answer. Let me follow up with this. Just 30 seconds, basically a follow-up to what you've just answered. Should dock workers be unionized, period?
Unions had a place a long time ago where people were dying every day on the job because the owners didn't care. Do unions have a place today? Maybe, maybe not. But people should have the choice of whether or not they should join the union or have to join the union and not be forced into doing it and paying dues to do so. So therefore, I like the right to work applications where people can choose or not choose to be part of the union, but they can still have access to those jobs, regardless of if they have a card or if they don't have a card.
All right. Love it. Jim Nails, check him out at the Daily Wire and Washington Examiner. Always appreciate your time, Jim. Good stuff as usual. God bless you, man.
Have a great night, Carl. Thank you so much.